What's up, guys? It's time to talk about Justice League. So the film is directed by Zack Snyder, who of course did the original film Man of Steel and the follow-up Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, which are of course all part of the DC Extended Universe. After the events of those films, we have Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, played by Ben Affleck, coming to terms with the situation with Superman and begins to recruit several members that he is hoping, would become something like a Justice League. This is of course never explicitly stated, but it is definitely implied. So he's looking for people with powers, so he comes across Barry Allen, known as the Flash, Victor Stone, or Cyborg, and of course Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. And last but not least, Arthur Curry, known as Aquaman. Together they must face Steppenwolf, who's got an army of parademons at his side, who's trying to find these 3 ancient mother boxes which are scattered all across Earth. So going into this film, I had actually only seen Wonder Woman and hadn't seen the first 2 films in the DC universe, as well as Suicide Squad, and now I've seen everything. While I think Wonder Woman is still the best overall film in this universe, I do believe this film might be right up there, second place, even better than Man of Steel, which I think was also a really good film. Now, for those of you who follow critic reviews, a lot of people realize that Rotten Tomatoes isn't a big fan overall of these films for some reason. They have their issues, and a lot of these films do have their issues. So I think there was a lot of anticipation for how this one could be, especially with the fact that it had Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman again, and how she can at least help make this film overall well balanced, getting all these superheroes together, many of whom we haven't really seen. And while it was a little tricky trying to get all of them into this situation, we do have to go through significant background of each character so that we can start to develop a little bit of interest in each one. Since most people going into this film already have a good understanding of Batman, they didn't need to shine too much light on him, so that gave room to highlight other characters. I'll start with Wonder Woman, of course played by Gal Gadot, known as Diana Prince, who again is just stunning in this film. I felt like I was watching Wonder Woman all over again every time she was on screen, and she just brings so much to the table. It really felt like if she wasn't in this film, I probably would not have really enjoyed it all that much. I like that we got to see her sort of doing her own thing for a while, as well as investigating other heroes. Seeing a bit of her homeland was also a nice surprise as well. It was also great to see Jason Momoa come back and play Aquaman, who I thought was probably, of all the characters, I did enjoy him, but I felt like maybe he needed just a little bit extra in this film. But overall, he seemed like a really cool character, and I'm excited to see what they do with the solo standalone film that he's going to be in, directed by James Wan. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they pull that one off. This is a very cool character who looked really cool in this film. He had a really great costume and overall look and aesthetic to him. I thought they really pulled it off well. One thing that really made this film work for me was the amount of humor that it had into it. It didn't feel like it was an overblown kind of, we're not taking ourselves seriously at all, but it felt like the humor in it was in the perfect moments at the perfect time, largely due to the Flash, played by Ezra Miller. I'd seen him in a thing or two, but I couldn't place it, and I just felt like he brought so much to this role, and pretty much everything he said, I was having a good time busting up laughing, because he did a great job providing that sort of awkward humor and sort of geeky kind of weirdo kind of guy throughout most of the film. But I definitely can't forget to mention Cyborg, played by Ray Fisher, who did an awesome job. I thought his character was really interesting. From what I remember about him when I was younger, I really enjoyed how they brought him about and all the versatility in all the things he can do, which turned out being really interesting. While the film actually is under 2 hours, it felt like it could have had just a tiny bit more in there. At the same time, I really enjoyed that it was at this length. There were just a couple moments where I felt certain characters, like maybe Aquaman, could have had an extra scene or two, or just a little bit more background on some of their relationships and things like that. I felt could have added just a tiny bit better appeal to the film. The film is very visually stunning, just like most of Zack Snyder's films. I believe that is probably his biggest strength in directing. For those of you who grew up reading the Justice League comics or seeing the show, I think this is going to be a very fun and satisfying film, and I'm hoping most of you will go out and check it out. I'm sure you will, as of course these are very popular movies nowadays. I like the dynamic of seeing a guy like Batman, who isn't technically a superhero in that he doesn't have superpowers. I like seeing the dynamic of him growing older and having issues keeping up with the rest of these guys who really can sustain a lot more damage and other things that he just can't help but, get pretty beat up. I like that they shed light on that a little bit, gave us some moments here and there to really notice that he had a hard time with a lot of things. There are plenty of callbacks to previous films in the franchise, and little moments here and there where you can hint at seeing some things later on that we might be able to get, like certain characters that we didn't see in this film that might be coming about in a future DC movie. And of course, stay after the credits, because there was definitely an interesting scene that you're going to want to check out. I also like how they handled the situation with Superman at the end of Dawn of Justice. I wasn't quite sure what that was going to imply from what we saw there, and I was surprised at how they differentiated it there and what we actually got. And I thought that was one of the more interesting highlights of the film. Overall, this is a very fun superhero movie that's going to battle Thor in the box office for the next couple weeks, and leading up to a lot of those other movies that we're really excited to see in December. Justice League brings together a superbly wonderful group of heroes, holding itself together amidst the nearly insurmountable chaos. And that's why this film is a diligent pick. So guys, what did you think of Justice League? I actually reviewed it very shortly after I saw it in theaters today, and instead of giving myself a night to sleep on it and process things, I decided to give you guys a quick review, hoping to get this out as soon as I could. What's your favorite film in the DC universe? Who's your favorite character in the Justice League? And what are you hoping to see in a future film? My name is Dylan, and if you love entertainment, subscribe to my channel while this video ends, and send me a thumbs up before you go. Thanks for watching, and stay diligent.